we got, hey everybody, we have 10 seconds. We're about to go live, and we've got Midwest Melissa today and Susan on the Kate Daly Show. Here we go. Hold on just a second. Here we go.
The Kate Daly Show. Ooh, we just love the smell of chemtrails in the morning. The Kate Daly Show starts now.
I want the people of America to be able to work less for the government and more for themselves. I want them to have the rewards of their own industry. This is the chief meaning of freedom. Until we can reestablish a condition under which the earnings of the people can be kept by the people, we are bound to suffer a very severe and distinct curtailment of our liberty.
Of forcefully taking money from some people in order to provide welfare benefits to others, how will the people whose money is being taken feel about the government?
Well, I don't accept your phraseology. I don't think we force people.
Taxation is not forceful?
Well, no.
It's voluntary?
In fact, quite to the contrary. Our system of government is a voluntary tax system.
Oh, if you don't want to pay your taxes, you don't have to?
Oh, of course you have to pay your taxes. But
well, the government will force you to pay, or they'll fine you or imprison you.
We have a voluntary system.
That was the late Harry Reid. Oh, I'm so glad we don't have to listen to this mealy-mouthed Harry Reid anymore, but he was atrocious. Full liberal. But anyway, welcome to the Kate Daly Show. Tax day. Interesting day of sorts. That was Coolidge that you heard at the beginning of that clip, trying to make sense of our liberty. And Coolidge was actually a pretty good president. And then, of course, Harry Reid being interviewed about our so-called voluntary system of taxation. Anyway, welcome to the show. We've got a lot to talk about today. I'm really happy about that. I've got Midwest Melissa on tap today. I also wanted to just mention something. I did a post on Facebook, so you can actually read it there if you want to. But, I was just kind of giving my thoughts. And the headline today was Iran trolls the dawn. Okay. And it was these AI pictures that supposedly Iran released. And the AI pictures were about, ripping his head off and blood spurting everywhere and tossing him into a fiery pit and la, 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 la. Okay. And I just have to say, you guys know how I feel. I've declared it daily. So in this little, theater of sorts. I just wanted to say, can you feel them sort of, this was the thought I had today. Can you feel them sort of ramping up for a false flag where something happens to Trump and it's going to be via Iran, and that they are allowing the drama to take place, and that they are promoting Vance and Marco Rubio a lot right now over Trump. And then, of course, everyone is kind of getting in on the action. Even some of on our right, the publications are kind of like dissing him and saying things about him as far as Trump goes. And it's kind of like they're setting the stage for a false flag for something to happen to Trump. And that, of course, J.D. Vance or J.D. Vance taking over in that case. But it would be, and maybe calling Rubio as his VP, you never know, but just something like that. And we said this a year and a half ago, that this was very possibly going to turn out that way in the coming years of his presidency. And so I just wanted to throw that out there. It just really hit me today when they were playing up the drama and showing these AI pictures and making it look like Iran has some power, and that, these pictures kind of add fuel to the fire. Yeah, exactly. I got a comment, super high intensity theater show. Yes. 100%. I also wanted to say that Pfizer has some new offerings coming out, and one is Lyme disease. The other one is COVID. another COVID round. Of course, they gave this variation a couple of dots inside a couple of numbers to make it look super official. By the way, the variants are a joke, but if you want to believe them, I guess you want to believe them. But at this point in the game, I do have to say that if you take the shots now, after everything that we've been through, I think people just kind of deserve what they get at this point because I don't think there's waking anybody else up. I think you're either going to get it by now or you're not. And so, you know what? You get what you get. And as my grandma used to say, you get what you get. So, it's all up to your choice. And if you want to take Pfizer's latest offerings, just go right ahead. Lyme disease comes out next year. So does this COVID one, I think, comes out at the end of the year or in the fall. And it's this new variant. It's like so ridiculous. It's a head scratcher. I can't imagine people lining up for these things, but be my guest. All right, Midwest Melissa, how are you?
I'm good, but I'm just thinking what a clever marketing strategy, what a
Yes.
clever business model. That's what I'm looking for.
Yes, get
That
right
they
on
have,
that. Yeah.
Because both Lyme disease and COVID were lab created.
Yes.
Lyme disease was like escaped animals from what is it? Is it Plum Island?
Yeah.
Is that
Speak
the
up
name
if
of
you get right on that microphone if you can.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
Lyme disease came from Plum Island, I believe, which
Yes.
is out in Long Island Sound.
Yeah.
They had an animal lab and they were working on tick-borne diseas, and the animals got off the island and flew into Lyme, Connecticut, which is where the disease was originally found. So, nothing like creating a disease
Mhm.
and then marketing the solution for the disease, which isn't really a solution anyway.
Right.
It's
Mhm.
just a clever business model. You got to
Yes.
admire it.
Right.
You know?
So
It's
if
the
you guys
American
take
way.
these, you're on your own at this point. I have no sympathy anymore for anyone that takes Pfizer's offerings or any of the vaccine companies anymore. You're on your own. You get what you get. Because I'm sick of trying and trying and trying. Everybody's been trying to educate everybody around them, and it's at this point, if somebody doesn't want to look, I guess they'll just put their head in the sand. But I don't know what else to say about the shots. I mean, they're just going to keep coming out with them because they get paid to do so. So, anyway, so make sure and speak a little louder if you can. But I can't wait to hear what's on the docket first with AI.
Okay, we need to have the AI update.
Yeah.
So we'll start with this. We'll go from the ridiculous to the absurd, right?
Okay.
So Meta now has decided that it's a great idea to create an AI clone of Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah. it will have his same mannerisms, his voice tone, his method, his way of thinking and this is a quote from the article, the release.
Mhm.
Help employees feel more connected to the American tech giant's chief.
Is there anything that's warm about Zuckerberg in real life? I can't imagine the AI being warmer, but
Here's a secret, Kate. This is a secret. I think Mark Zuckerberg is already an AI.
I
clone.
know. I do too. Good heavens. He seriously looks
So-
like one. I'm just baffled by him, but
Yeah.
Mhm.
So this will have real-time conversations with employees of the company. That alone would be enough to make me not want to work for Meta ever. And it says so that employees might feel more connected to the founder through
Yeah.
interactions with it.
Mm.
Like, I don't want to be connected to Zuckerberg. Really, I don't. I don't.
yeah,
I think he's weird. He's a weird guy.
Yeah, he's a front man. He's a front man. He never did invent Meta. He never invented Facebook, but it's so amazing. He just put his face on it. But it's so amazing to me that they're going to make an AI of him because you're right. He already does act like an AI. So I don't know what what are they thinking? I don't know.
If you recall, a couple weeks ago, we were discussing like the ethics of
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
Do we want our children and the people that come after us to be able to recreate us in AI digital format to talk to them? And
Yes.
here you go. Already it begins.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't
so
think people will be lining up. Yeah.
That's the ridiculous.
Yeah.
So how much worse is the absurd, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So there is a tech company that has not been named that is coming under fire for creating an AI Jesus that you can talk to
Come on.
for wait for it, for $2 a minute.
This is like worse than the psychic hotline. Are you kidding me with this? Okay, so
Yeah,
you
oh
talk
my
to you get to
gosh.
talk to Jesus via AI.
Well,
Hmm.
here's what AI Jesus apparently does. It encourages the questioner to name 3 blessings each morning, acknowledging that each new day is a gift from the creator. Let me tell you what, I'm going to make an offer to everyone in the listening audience.
Mm-hmm.
If you pay me $2, I will say that to you.
Yeah, just call Melissa.
Just call me up
AI
and I will
Melissa.
say, it's good advice to name 3 blessings each morning, and each new day is a gift from the creator. Oh my gosh, that's so repulsive.
I have no words. I just have no words with this stuff anymore. I mean, I hear Glenn Beck talking to AI George Washington, and I'm just like, you guys stop promoting this garbage. Anyway.
Well, some of the comments that came after the article are just really funny. So here's one of the comments. This is a device of Satan snatched out of hell. Can I
Well,
disagree with that?
It is an oxymoron. I mean, AI Jesus. I mean, come on.
Here's another one. I
Yeah.
don't think the real Jesus blinks that much. I feel I talk to Jesus directly with no app between us.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. Like
Mhm.
anytime you feel like talking to Jesus, go right
Oh
ahead.
my gosh. Do they have him talking slang to us? Anyway, so weird.
I don't know. Oh, that would be a good question.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Yeah. So what else you got?
AI Jesus. That has come in handy
Oh
in several
gosh.
I've
Please,
had several
no.
conversations with people. With my
Mhm.
husband. He's
Mhm.
like, "Well, I don't know what should we do about that?" I said, "I don't know. Maybe we should contact AI Jesus and find out."
Oh my
He's
gosh.
just like, "Shut up about
Yeah.
that."
On my list of the 10 things you'll never catch me doing is that. But go ahead. Yeah, I can't wait to hear what else you have.
Well, that's the absurd portion
Mhm.
of the show today.
Mhm.
The next one is not so absurd and frankly just a wee bit frightening.
Okay.
So Anthropic, which is another big data company,
Mhm.
they are the people that run Claude, right?
Right.
And they have Claude Mythos is the next level Claude that's coming. And what they do, and I've read this in several places, they create what they call digital sandboxes when they're trialing these new AI. I don't know what do you call them. It's not an app, but when they're trying out a new version of Claude or
Mhm.
whatever, Chat GPT or whatever it is, they create a digital sandbox, they say, that has all kinds of safeguards around it
Mhm.
so that they can give the new AI a chance to see what it's capable of truly.
Mm.
So what they found out with Claude Mythos,
Mhm.
that it had such a large increase in capabilities that it actually wrote its own program to escape the sandbox. It broke containment all by itself.
Interesting. Okay.
So we've been talking about that. Lots of people have been talking about that. How safe is AI really? And will AI be smart enough to begin to write its own code? And they keep saying, no, that will never happen. Well,
Yeah.
now it did.
Mm.
Now it did. It
Mm.
did happen. And
Okay.
even though they had instructions that it was not to do that, it did it anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah. So what are they going to do about it? So they said,
Mhm.
oh, this is so powerful
Mhm.
that it could go back and find vulnerabilities in like banking systems, in
Mhm.
all kinds of things out there. And they said, if you're behind giving it the instructions,
Mhm.
you don't even have to be very sophisticated to do it.
Hmm.
It's like the common person would be able to get Claude Mythos to do bad things.
Yeah.
So what they have decided is they're not going to release it to the public because that would just be dangerous. Like, let's give every criminal in the country the most
Yeah.
powerful AI tool that can breach banking, security systems. So this will be really refreshing too. I'm not sure which is
Yeah.
scarier. For now, they're only going to release it to a few organizations. Here's the list:
Mhm.
Google, Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, NVIDIA, and JP Morgan Chase. they're going to get access to Mythos as part of their cybersecurity group named Project Glasswing. So if anybody's enterprising and wants to tell us what's the downside of Project Glasswing,
Okay.
yeah. So anyway, is that the list of
Hmm.
people you want to have that AI? Supercharged AI.
I don't
Yeah.
even want to know what it's going to look like in 10 years and how dependent we're going to be on it. That breaks my heart. So,
Yeah.
mhm.
So it's just kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
That's just kind of a disturbing thing.
Mhm.
And I'm not really totally thrilled
Mhm.
about any of that.
Right.
So, like, oh, we have such a powerful AI model
Mhm.
that it can break out of its own containment,
Yeah.
and then we're going to give it to the very people
Mhm.
who I think are the most reckless with all of the AI stuff coming anyway.
Right.
Like
Interesting.
JP Morgan Chase was not affiliated in any way with Jeffrey Epstein, was he? Were they? Or
Hmm.
Google or Amazon have proven totally trustworthy with all the data they've been given. Right?
Well,
Isn't that
they're
right?
front men
Wait,
for
make
the
me feel better, Kate. Make me
Well,
feel
they're
better.
front men for the people who actually have the data. So, I mean, yeah, they're not. Yeah, it's all about data. It's all about data in the future. Data is currency. So, yeah, it's a sad state of affairs for that, for sure.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like any of that is going anywhere
Mm-mm.
soon. And that's, you
Yeah.
were talking about
Right.
what's coming, of the
Mhm.
potential of a false flag that might put JD Vance in office.
Just saying that's
Let's
kind of
not
what it seems like.
forget that
Mhm.
JD Vance is very closely tied to Palantir,
Mhm.
which is one of the big data companies as well.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't
But
matter
I don't
even
think it
which
has to be
side.
JD Vance. I don't see Trump stopping it either.
Oh, of course not. It doesn't matter which side. It doesn't matter which side. It's going to move forward, and yeah, it felt that way today when I was looking at the drama, because when the media, the bought and sold media and the bought and sold newspapers put out this kind of drama and they want us to see it, that means they want us to think Iran is a real threat and that Iran has power. And the only reason they would want that is if they were setting up a false flag where Iran is blamed for doing something to Trump. Because I don't think anything would energize the country more into war over there than that. I could see that happening.
Well, I don't know. I think Trump is doing a fine job of getting himself into trouble.
Well, I
I
mean,
don't think he
but
needs
it's by,
Iran
I
to
think,
help
yeah,
him.
I just think it's by design. But yes, I mean, it's a heavy drama being played out for sure. So, we can either look and see above it or not. But I talked about that yesterday at length. But it's tough because it's tough to see the days of our lives drama being played out, so it's hard. All the articles today are about the Strait and the Strait of Hormuz and what it's going to do to everybody. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, people really do believe that, like hook, line, and sinker. I'm like, that doesn't control all the world's oil, but okay. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll save that conversation
Yeah.
for another day.
Yeah.
So we talked a couple weeks ago about what's happening in Ohio
Mm-hmm.
with the Les Wexner,
Yeah.
all
Mhm.
of that.
Mhm.
Just a quick update in case people have not heard
Okay.
already. The group in Ohio that is pressing back against data centers in Ohio
Mm-hmm.
just got enough signatures. They are now looking for more. They need 400,000 signatures in order to put a moratorium on data centers on a statewide ballot. So I have seen there's a lot of energy being directed in that way. People all over Ohio are gathering the signatures right now to get that on a ballot. So that's a promising
Mm-hmm.
thing. I think people in Ohio are waking up and seeing data centers going everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's an encouraging sign. There is press back right now.
Mm-hmm.
I personally am very concerned about the press back in Ohio because I think if they get booted out of Ohio, they will be looking at Indiana. And so I don't want
Okay.
them coming here either.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the other kind of hopeful story.
Okay. Make sure your
So-
volume's up. Okay.
There's a little tiny town named Festus, Missouri. It's just south, I believe, of St. Louis,
Mm-hmm.
right along the Mississippi River. And they were the people that it's about 12,000 people that live in the town, and they were very unhappy about plans that were moving forward for a
Mm.
data center, a $6 billion data center coming
Mhm.
to their town.
Okay.
Okay, so there was a big backlash against the data center. People
Mhm.
in the town that live there don't want it,
Mm-hmm.
and they were objecting to their city council,
Mm-hmm.
and the city council was paying them no attention.
Hmm.
And in fact, this is kind of the best part of the story, that
Mhm.
somebody filed a FOIA request and got some of the text messages that were looping between the city council and the corporation that was coming to build the data center
Mhm.
campus. And it was some of the most egregious things that they were saying. Like, these people on the city council, well, we wouldn't want the sheeple to find out what's going down, kind
Hmm.
of stuff.
Right.
Well, they had an off cycle election.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no presidential, there's no big congressional race, no state anything. This was
Yeah.
just their little local election. And the people in the town organized and flipped their entire city council out of office.
I love it.
And
Yay!
they said, treat us that way.
Oh
and
my
you have
gosh.
forgotten who you work for.
Oh, that is
You
great.
don't work for corporation ABC over here. You work for us. We said no,
Oh, I
and you
love
won't
it.
listen to it.
I love it. This is awesome.
I know. So
Oh.
we've talked a lot. What do we have to do in
Mhm.
order to make a difference?
Mm-hmm.
How do we change things?
Mm-hmm.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of energy. I mean, there was a lot of these people were, going door to door. They were
Mhm.
spreading the news, word of
Mhm.
mouth. They were talking to their friends, their
Yeah.
neighbors. They were building consensus among all the voters saying, look, they were filing FOIA requests for information
it.
about what was happening. And they found out a lot of things. Their city council was not
Mhm.
telling them the truth. The city council was trash talking them behind their backs.
Mhm.
I would be surprised if they didn't find a record of some kind of corrupt backroom deal making.
Sure.
But they were able to make the case. Look, our property value goes down. Our water's going to be polluted. Our energy's going to go up.
Yeah.
We're being lied to by the people in our city council. And they made that case so successfully, they flipped their entire city council out.
Oh my gosh. That is music to my ears. That is like the best piece of hope I've had in a long time. I love
Well,
it. That's great.
Here's even more.
Mm-hmm.
The governor of Missouri had been supportive of this data center. So now the people in this little town are kind of thinking, who's next on our list?
I love this. This is what we
I
need
hope
to
they
do.
do. I hope they do.
3,000 plus counties, you can change the entire country. And people don't realize that. I mean, it just takes getting a hold of your county and your cities. Yep. I mean, obviously the governors are bought, the feds buy. I mean, honestly, that's going to still do what it's going to do. But you change a city and a county. And by the way, if they ever do something like COVID again, your county can stand apart from its own state government. And I sure hope that message became loud and clear that the people in the counties pretended like they could not do anything. They pretended like they had to ask Mother May I. I mean, my own county did that. They had to pretend that they had no power. And so they do have power and they can change the face of the country. So,
Well, the reality,
yeah.
I think, is, for example, this in Festus, Missouri, it wasn't a pretense that they couldn't do anything. They didn't want to. Their city council didn't want to do anything. And I think that happened with COVID a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
They may have used, we can't go against the state as a shield to protect them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they wanted to either. I know here in my county, our health commissioner, who was in charge of that kind of stuff, didn't want to.
Yeah.
He was part of the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They wanted to obey the governor so they could get money for COVID. So all the counties kind of went in and just did nothing and pretended they had no power because they were going to lose dollars. And each county got some money, that money train of our tax dollars, our money. They got our money divvied out by the governors, and so it was really pathetic and sad. There was a long list of money, and the hospitals got money, and the airlines got money, and everyone got money to shut down, and it was just so sad. When you look back, I just hope we learned something from it.
Well, we have a data center coming to our county here,
Mhm.
and there has been virtually no resistance to it. So it is what it is. But I have heard a rumor that they are some of the contractors that are going to be building the data center are looking to hire people, and they're having a hard time finding people that want to work for them.
Mm.
You know, so the people who are going to be laying fiber optic cable, or people who are doing the construction, and people locally are just like, yeah, no.
Mm.
Oh,
Hmm.
that's that Midwest expression. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I said that. How funny. So that, yeah, people here just don't. I don't think it's really that exciting a proposition. I think people are waking up to that too. And like I said, the way to people's hearts is to talk about what happens to your property value when you live next door to the data center.
Mhm.
What happens to your drinking water and your utility costs, and what
Mhm.
happens.
Oh,
I think if we just limit ourselves to saying,
Mhm.
you know, this is a digital slavery coming, people
Mhm.
would be like, whatever, more
Mhm.
conspiracy crazy.
Mhm.
But if you tell them their property value is going to nosedive, they're going to listen.
Mm. Okay.
They're
Oh,
gonna
but you
listen.
mentioned
If
water.
you tell them your drinking water is going to be polluted
Mhm.
and your utility bills are going to go up,
Yeah.
those are things that people can relate to on a bipartisan level.
Yes. Yes. By the way, you mentioned water. One of the headlines today was multiple water providers have lowered the amount of fluoride. Gee, thanks. Just lowered, not erased. The amount of fluoride because, you know, the U.S.-Iran war. That's
that doesn't even make sense.
I
to me.
know, the excuse of the war. Anyway.
Are we getting that through the Straits of Hormuz or
Hey,
something?
I mean, I'm glad, I guess,
Those big
according to
fluoride
them.
tankers coming through there?
Yeah, I'm glad that they've reduced the amount that's making us stupid and diseased, but still, I mean, to blame the war, that was kind of interesting. So, yes, they're talking about it. The supplier is in Israel, and Israel is one of the top exporters of this acid, fluoric acid, and basically, yes, because of what's happening there and the straits that we are short on fluoride. Oh my gosh. Give me a
Well, my
Give me
governor
a break.
here in Indiana has just announced that they're
Mhm.
in partnership with some Israeli companies.
Yeah.
And they're going to provide $15 million worth of taxpayer monies to bring them here. Oh my. So, you know, they are just our bestest allies.
Always.
Maybe they're going to build a fluoride plant here so we won't have a shortage anymore.
Always our allies. Everyone else has gone in and out of being an ally, but not Israel. That's kind of interesting. They're always
know,
they're
but
always the country that we love no matter what.
That's a new thing too, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it's always been that way.
Yeah, it has. It's always been that way since the 1948. It's been 100% on board. Even when they do false flags, even when they blow up a ship of ours, we're like, nope, we love them. So very interesting. Anyway, yeah.
Well, okay. So kind of moving on in the conversation here, I read a very fascinating article. It was actually a little piece of writing from, I think it's the Chicago Law Review.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not usually a reader of the Chicago Law Review, but this one was very interesting. The title of the article was "Can Americans Resist Surveillance?" And this law professor, Ryan Kahlo, was examining some of he takes 4 different areas. He says that we have, let me see. I'm looking for where he talks about it. Privacy-friendly politicians, We can challenge surveillance in court.
Mm-hmm.
We can adopt encryption or other technology and put market pressure on companies not to cooperate with law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
And those sound like really great solutions. And I have kind of tried to turn my thinking more and more often. It's easy to complain about the state of the world,
Mm-hmm.
but what do we do about it?
Right.
And so we know that digital surveillance is coming, but how do
Well, it's
we
here.
address that?
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, those things would be on my list. You know, we need to vote for people
Mm-hmm.
that will take our privacy and
Mm-hmm.
surveillance issues seriously. We can challenge it in court.
Mm-hmm.
We can move to other platforms that allow us to encrypt our data, which makes it harder for the government or whoever is surveilling us to have that information.
Mm-hmm.
And we can put market pressure on. And he very systematically in this article takes apart each one of those and says, this is not going to be as successful as you might think. And here's why. Oh, it's so sad. So the first thing he introduced was most Americans are concerned about government surveillance. 52%,
Mm-hmm.
and another 65% believe that there's inadequate limits on what kind of surveillance is allowed. So that's a pretty sizable majority of Americans believe either they
Mm-hmm.
don't want the government surveilling at all, or we don't have enough safeguards in place.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, what are we going to do about that? And so he goes through, it's kind of, I'll pardon you some of his legalese here,
Mm-hmm.
but he's talking about, okay, we
A little bit
can
louder.
start out by
Mhm.
looking at the law.
Mm-hmm.
We can attempt to elect those who might be sympathetic to enhancing legally the legal arguments for putting legislation in place to protect our privacy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says, well, that can be problematic because do our politicians actually have the tools available to themselves
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do that successfully?
Hmm.
And then he says, it's a kind of interesting problem because what does it take to really move the dialogue forward? He said, you have to have people for whom this is an issue of passion,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to have people who are willing to take action about it, and you have to have the means to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says, so the American public, while they may be concerned,
Mm-hmm.
are very passionate about it, and they absolutely do take action on it all the time. And so who's going to win in that contest? And the people who are surveilling us, it is the nature of surveillance to be done in secret.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So do our politicians actually know or have the ability to know what is actually being surveilled? Can they actually create laws without knowing what the real problem is or the extent of it?
Yeah.
That is a real grim thought.
Right.
So he's like, it is the nature of the people in the surveillance state
Mm-hmm.
to not want to tell politicians those things,
Mhm.
partly because our politicians are also under surveillance.
Yeah. Yeah. Sadly, I think everybody thinks when they get into office, they kind of know everything that's happening, but they don't. I don't think many of them do.
No. And so he said it's very difficult to legislate a problem without any awareness of how big the problem is or where the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
How do you create those kind of laws? And it is to the advantage of the surveillance state
Mm-hmm.
to not tell anyone those things.
Well, that's why the party picks who's going in, because they know that they're going to remain a little stupid about it. So they're not going to look into it. They're not going to find out. So I think, if you ask me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so whether you're talking about the NSA
Mhm.
and super secret,
Mhm.
courts they're not going to be telling our politicians this is what we're doing.
Right. Right.
And so it's almost impossible, even if we vote for a politician who's very, like, oh, we want all these, they can promise you the moon and the stars, but they don't really have the tools to be able to legislate it. And even if
Mhm.
they did try to legislate it, things that happen in secret are very difficult to surveil.
It's along the same lines as getting anything to go through that balances the budget or curtails DARPA or curtails any kind of government office, or I mean it goes into the wasteland. So it's to never be seen again. So yes, that happens a lot. And also on your spying thing, as long as the American people keep falling for the excuse that the media uses in selling and marketing the NSA spying to us by always telling us that they're utilizing it to catch the bad guy. As long as they keep doing that and Americans keep falling for it as see how noble, see how amazing, see how wonderful, we got a bad guy. Well, we got a bad guy at the expense of all of our liberty. So do it the old fashioned way. But as long as Americans keep falling for that and the media keeps printing it and people keep responding to it, they're getting away with marketing it to us on a level that I don't think we actually comprehend how brainwashy it is.
Well, speaking of bad guys, that kind of takes us to the second level.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like legal affordances, which is like, why don't we see people taking the government to court
Mm-hmm.
because you have intruded on our privacy?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that becomes problematic because number one, most of us don't have standing. Yet again, we don't really know we're being surveilled.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We don't know the harm that's being done to us because the harm is being done secretly.
Right. We might not know all of their
people
capabilities.
that do know about that,
Mm-hmm.
the people that do know about First and Fourth Amendment violations are
Mhm.
usually criminals.
Mm-hmm.
And he says this has thrown into the arena of privacy and surveillance the only people that have standing to take on those issues are
Mhm.
criminals,
Mhm.
and they're not probably the best voices to stand up for the general citizenry
Right.
because most of us are glad those bad guys are going to jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it creates we
Mhm.
don't have a legal lever to pull.
Yeah. Feels that way.
Oh, it's just awful.
I mean, we do,
And
and we can keep trying. I think we should keep trying. Chris Ann Hall made a great point last week, and she was like, "You don't give up until it's really over. Like, you always hang in there because each generation has kind of thought it was over, and for whatever they were going through. So even in the revolution, here we are celebrating the 250 years. Even in the revolution, they thought it was over, and so." You always try. You can always try, and we can always try and maybe fill the courts with cases, because
well, do you remember
it
I
would be
said
good.
this has got to be asymmetric warfare?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have so these are the things that we think are the protections for us.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to dismiss those ideas and we need
Mhm.
to think outside the box
Yeah.
more often.
Right.
Because and I'm telling you why these things people, we've heard it a million times. Well, we just have to vote the right people into office and we'll have this all solved. No, we won't. And I just told you why.
Mhm.
Because the people that we vote into office don't really have the levers to pull either. So
Or
why
they-
don't we fight this in the court? Well,
Mhm.
listen to
Pretend.
this statement.
Mhm.
Let's see. The courts have implied that even the very act of suing
Mhm.
over privacy invasions can be evidence that a litigant has not been cowed. Because if you're bringing the case to court, you're apparently not afraid enough
Right.
that you didn't bring it to court and air it all in public.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lose-lose situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
How can anyone, because if you're not bringing it to court and not getting any remediation through the courtroom,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because you didn't know about it,
Right.
you don't know the harm that's being done to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you do know the harm, if you bring the case, then, well, clearly you weren't scared enough.
Mm.
It's a ridiculous logic. There are some cases that are beginning to work their way through that may have some better outcomes, and we hope that they will.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be very vigilant about judges too. We need to be more vigilant about judges, and we need to be following judges and the way they think and who's on the bench, because this is one of the things that should be there as a safeguard for the citizenry.
Yes.
And when they're not doing their job properly, that can be problematic too.
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing he talks about is technological.
Mm-hmm.
So we can move to encryption services.
Mm-hmm.
He says this. I thought this was interesting because I'm using some encryption services. I don't always want everything out there.
Yeah.
But he says encryption actually attracts attention of the very people who are surveilling us. If they see that someone is using a lot of encryption, that may attract attention to you.
Okay.
So that's kind of counterproductive as well. He said, so maybe we should begin to look for companies that encrypt everything all the time. That's one solution. If we move to a platform where Meta is encrypting, everybody's encrypting everything all the time, that might be one way to move, but that can be very cumbersome, right? The other problem with that is, so I post something on Facebook. I have now given, or Google or wherever, I have now given that information to a third party.
Okay.
By giving it to a third party, I have already said that that is not private information.
I think they're
Just
going to get it
remember
anyway.
that
but-
always.
Yeah.
So the photographs that you post on Google
Mm-hmm.
Pics,
Mm-hmm.
not private.
Right. Right.
None of them are private.
I think
You
people
have
know
no
that
right
by
to
now.
privacy because you already
Mhm.
gave it to a third party.
I think people are pretty aware of that. They should, by now, I would imagine. But yeah.
I would
it's-
hope. But I'm in the process right now of removing my pictures from Google
Okay.
because I don't want them to have access to my pictures. I don't have anything to be afraid of, but I just don't
Right.
want Google to be able to use them.
The only bummer is they have them. But yes, I mean, they already have them. But if everybody hasn't figured this out yet, Google, Facebook, all of it for the cause of data, AT&T, they're all government operated operations. So all that data goes to them all the time. And I don't even think they have to do anything to get it because it's their organization. I think that they
Right. No, they don't. When you put it up,
Appear to
when
be
you
private.
when you post to Facebook, you
Mhm.
have already
Mhm.
agreed that Facebook has your data.
Yeah. And they keep it
You've
forever.
already agreed to it.
Yeah. All right.
When you save your pictures there, all that is true.
Yeah.
So the last frontier here is we could look to the tech companies themselves
Mm-hmm.
to become the champions of the citizenry.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure I want to put all my eggs in that basket either,
Mm-hmm.
because they are the very ones who are most interested in our data. And the other piece of that is if we look to these corporations have folded quickly,
Mm-hmm.
look at what's happened with like some of the genetic companies that have done genetic like DNA testing for
Mhm.
family research, whatever, and how quickly they have folded in the face of pressure
Mhm.
from the
Mhm.
police or whoever.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe do we care about that?
Yeah.
And we're asking a corporation that is doing business
Mhm.
with government regulators to go to war with those very government regulators when they're involved on a very direct basis with those government regulators all the time. It's not in Facebook's interest to anger government regulators.
Well, we should say it's in government's interest. You know what I mean? So Facebook is government. So it was called LifeLog, the CIA. So it is government though, but they still have to appear to be private. So they'll still do things to appear to be private and run by Zuckerberg.
Well, and then you have to deal with AI Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
He's going to come and talk to you.
Yeah.
Give you a stern warning about it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So a pledge by any one of those corporations not to cooperate with the government in order to build our trust. So if they break our trust, what are you going to do about it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, really, the only answer is to not use their freebies and their tools, and not play in their playground. I would think that would probably be the number one thing that we could do to have zero tracking, and is to live apart and out of this matrix. Yes, I mean,
Well,
we're still playing in
I
their
don't know
playground and
anymore.
trusting them.
I'm not even sure that for most of us that's even reasonable to do anymore.
No, it's
I mean,
hard.
like
It
if
would
I
be hard.
switched over and went back to taking all my pictures on a camera, life becomes very difficult.
Yeah.
And that's been the hook that they've used. I mean,
Right.
they're making life easier and easier and easier for us in a lot of ways. I mean, it's super easy for me to snap the picture on my phone, post it wherever I want, save it in Google Pics, and move on with my life.
Well,
But what I think I took away from this whole thing is we need to re-examine our relationship to government, to these tech companies, and we need to think of different ways to stand against it. The usual ways that we are accustomed to thinking about are not going to be enough.
Right.
That's
Okay.
kind of where I ended up.
All right.
That whole thing. I do think there's ways to step out of the grid. I was just at a program the other day. They were talking about planting native plants in your yard. And what she said, and I think it's meaningful in this conversation as well, is maybe you can't transplant your whole yard into a native meadow, but whatever you do is better than doing nothing at all.
I like that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for
Yeah.
most of us,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even park at my downtown library without a phone. I have to flash I have to flash a QR code in order to pay. It becomes very difficult to live in the world today without access to some of these tools. So let's be thoughtful about it, and let's engage our thinking. Just
Yeah.
like the people
Mm-hmm.
in Festus, Missouri, who flipped their entire council with a lot of legwork
Right.
and old-fashioned, door knocking.
Mm-hmm.
We have power we have not yet explored because we're relying on old, outdated ways of doing things. And we
Did
think
they-
that that's enough.
Did they pull them out of office for not doing what they said they'd do, or was it an election?
I am not sure whether they were able to create like a local election based on this issue or
Mhm.
whether at their time. I know they were all incumbents and they had people running against them. So I don't know what the timing of that was.
Okay.
But it was fortunate timing, whatever it was.
All right. I think you had one last thing to talk about too.
Well, I have we're going to make a real weird transition here.
Okay.
So I'm a history wonk. As
A little
many
bit
people
louder.
already-
Mhm.
I'm a history wonk, as
Uh-huh.
many people already know. And I came across the most fascinating study about Mary Todd Lincoln, who, how exciting is this for us today? Maybe
Well, I mean,
not
it's so
much.
random, but I like random, so I'm in.
Well,
What-
this is just kind of let's all
what
just
about
breathe
her?
a sigh of relief and
Yeah.
think about other people's problems. So
Yeah.
here's a quick down and dirty bio of Mary Lincoln.
Okay.
She grew up in the South.
Mm-hmm.
She was born and raised, had a very difficult childhood with a stepmother who didn't like her.
Mm-hmm.
In Kentucky. She became very well educated for a woman of her day.
Mm-hmm.
She went on to eventually she was living in Illinois when she met Abraham Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
They married. She was well known for being very articulate in a day when women didn't have many political opinions. She had political opinions, and she was a fabulous hostess. She was wonderful on many levels.
Mm-hmm.
When she got to the White House, however, people began to notice that her behavior was a little erratic.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And by that, I mean, she took the entire budget to refurbish the White House and spent it on one trip to New York.
Okay.
And there were other erratic things about her behavior. She was very heavily criticized for being a Southerner during the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
She had already lost one child before the war. She lost a second child while they were in the White House. And she lost a third child shortly after she left the White House. Abraham Lincoln, of course, had been assassinated. He was dead.
Mm-hmm.
So she lost a third child right after that. So she lost 3 of her 4 children before they were, well, 2 of her children were very young, and then one was 18. So she only had one child that survived to adulthood, and that was Robert Todd Lincoln.
Okay.
She had a lot of health complaints through her life, very kind of oddball complaints. She had
Mhm.
things like she felt like her hands and feet were being stabbed by needles.
Hmm.
She complained about the inside of her mouth being very sore. She complained, and her health, after she leaves the White House, her health begins to deteriorate very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And she was eventually diagnosed as a hysteric.
Mm-hmm.
And her son, Robert Todd, eventually has her placed in an asylum because she was erratic and almost ungovernable. And so she took a lot of heat for having mental illness in a time when mental illness was just a really, really, truly terrible thing to deal with.
Sounds a lot like arsenic poisoning.
Well, by the time they eventually released her from the hospital, from the asylum that she was in.
Mm-hmm.
And she went home, but she continued to decline in health. By the end of her life, she was so physically and drained
Mm-hmm.
that she literally could not leave her bed, nor could she speak. She was just totally terrible. Okay. And then Robert Todd Lincoln, this was so humiliating to him,
Mhm.
and the press had been so cruel to her
Mm-hmm.
that he made every effort to kind of tidy up her medical records so that people could not have access to them and use it against her
Mm-hmm.
over time.
Okay.
And in her day,
Mhm.
people just wrote her off as she's crazy. She's just a lunatic.
Mm-hmm.
And that perception of her continued
Mhm.
into the early 20th century, really. There have been fairly recent books written about the insanity of Mary Lincoln,
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure it out. Well, Dr. John G. Sotos, who is he was one of the medical advisors to the TV show House MD.
Okay.
And so he
I
took
like
an
that show.
interest.
Mhm.
He took an interest in her case.
Mm-hmm.
There are very few of her medical records left to look at because Robert Todd was very thorough, but there was a trunk
Mm-hmm.
that had kind of the remnants of her time in the asylum. And in that trunk was her file that had been written by the doctor that
Mm-hmm.
saw her. And he had taken a full medical history of her. So when Sotos begins to look at this and he sees like the interior of her mouth was very sore, and this predates her time in the White House by 20 years.
Mhm.
She was complaining of some of this for years before they were even to the White House.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked at all of that and he concluded that it is entirely possible that she was suffering from a vitamin B12 deficiency, which is called pernicious anemia.
Okay.
It was a disease that was unknown in her day.
Mm-hmm.
Doctors were completely unaware of any kind of vitamin deficiency of that day. If I presented to a doctor today and I said, the inside of my mouth is very sore and I feel like I'm being stabbed, they would immediately order a blood test. They would look at vitamin B12 because those are kind of hallmarks
Right.
of the disease.
Hmm.
And they would give me an injection of B12 and I would go on my way.
Interesting.
But that was not the case for her. And
Mhm.
part of the whole deal with pernicious anemia is that it can cause hallucinations. It can cause very vivid and scary hallucinations for the person suffering with it.
Hmm.
And it also has a genetic link to people from certain parts of the world. And she had a very rich background. Her family history was from a certain part of Scotland and Ireland that has higher rates than normal of pernicious anemia. So he has suggested that pernicious anemia may well have been her problem. And he has made a very eloquent statement about maybe we should look back at the past with a little more compassion. And
Right.
maybe we've been misled. And I think that speaks to a kind of a bigger issue that we deal with a lot. Sometimes we look back at the past and we judge them based on our knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we overlay the past with how we think about our own society. Well, why didn't they just give her a B12 injection? Well, they couldn't because they didn't know. And so I just today I was at my local public library, which has a very large collection of Lincoln, and there's a big picture of Mary Lincoln hanging up in a portrait on the wall. And I just thought, she was a very maligned woman, not because of what, and it's kind of a sad, it makes her even more tragic to me, that she was suffering from a physical illness. And what pernicious anemia does, it becomes an autoimmune disease in which your nervous system is eaten from the inside out.
Ouch. Jeez.
That's what she was dealing with. And yet think of the heavy layer of humiliation that was laid on top of her because of, she had a physical illness that she didn't know about. Neither did any of the doctors that treated her. And she has been unkindly treated by history as well.
Right. Interesting.
So it's just a fascinating little story. Next time you read about Abraham Lincoln or the suffering of his wife, maybe think back on this and think about remember that we will be judged in the future by what we don't know. There's things we don't know. And maybe we
always
should be
learning.
a little kinder and gentler on history.
Yeah.
Not
me. I refuse. Oh my gosh.
I just found it to be a fascinating story.
Yeah.
And it
Cool.
just made me
Well,
really
thanks.
feel for her.
I
And the
appreciate that.
suffering and her suffering.
Thanks, Midwest Melissa. Really appreciate
You're
you. Thank
very
you.
welcome.
All right. I do, before I bring Susan on, appreciate you. Thank you. And a lot to think about. Before I bring Susan on, I just wanted to talk about Cardio Miracle for a second, because they have this week 47% off. Yay. You're going to want to do this. 47% off. So also they have a thing called Wisdom Oil, and you're going to want to check that out as well. There's some really wonderful benefits to that. And this is it's like biblical oil. Okay. It's got the antioxidants in it. It's got the moisture retention, the skin barrier, the cell regeneration. It promotes like even tone, anti-inflammatory. It's actually healing for troubled skin. And they do have this. You can purchase it at Cardio Miracle. The benefits of Wisdom Oil are amazing. So check that out, because they have a special deal on that. And also, when I'm talking about cardio, I drink 2 doses a day. I love this product. My husband does too. We won't go without it. And I've kind of gotten a lot of my family on it too. So it's been amazing. But the one thing that I'm noticing is energy and stamina. Honestly, endurance, reduced fatigue. I'm noticing that a lot. Brain, cognitive health. I'm noticing that. Heart circulation. It's amazing for that because of the nitric oxide. And then also immune and metabolic support. So to get that system going. Cardio Miracle also has like 20 times the fruits and vegetables of any product out there. And I actually in the past have talked about a few products for fruits and vegetables in a capsule that you could take. This outdoes that by far. So if you're going to take a product, take one that does almost, everything that you want, right? Because we don't love taking stuff, right? But it actually tastes good. And I actually love the taste, and I'm picky. But this product is kind of like fruit punch. It's amazing. But this product truly does what it says it's going to do. And that I love. And I'm loving your letters. I get lots of letters from people about this. And I'm telling you, it's pretty amazing, the results. So people with heart problems, people that run now that couldn't run before because they have the endurance. But Cardio Miracle is truly, truly freaking amazing. Just go check it out. Just go check it out. When I took it once a day, I didn't see these benefits. Taking it twice a day, I do see it. So I'm telling you, but it's 40, almost half off. So please go and order it. It's a 30-day money back guarantee, so you can't go wrong. And plus, you can try it out. And plus, the benefits are real. And I like real products. So there you go. I really, really, really love Cardio Miracle. I really do. I can't express it enough. And when I find something I like, I want to share it with you. The other thing I'm going to tell you to do is to do the rebounding. I started doing this and the effects are pretty cool. Rebounding, even Barbara O'Neill talks about this, but rebounding is basically you're on like a mini trampoline, or you can jump up and down, however you want to do it, for about 3 minutes every day in the morning. And it gets the lymph system draining. It gets the lymph system going. And I'm telling you, sometimes some of the most basic things are some of the most interesting things that we can do, and easiest things that we can do to get puffiness down, or swelling, or in that inflammation, that drainage, getting that out. And I know that word drainage, anyway, but I'm telling you, what a great thing to do, about 3 minutes a day. And she swears by this. Barbara O'Neill was like, if you could do anything, do that for like 3 minutes a day, and your body will change. You will change, because all of our lymph systems are really dragging. Cardio Miracle helps too. I just wanted to let you know that because it's such a big deal. And also, I did want to say the ebook on cancer with no chemo, doing no chemo. So what do you do? What products do you take? What works? How can you survive and survive well without chemo? There's 10% off on that ebook right now. Go take advantage of it. Go to katetalks.myshopify.com, get the ebook, because it's very, very important. When I do an update too, that update goes out to you again. So you get the ebook all over again. And let me just tell you, pretty amazing. This ebook is 14 and a half pages, dialed down to what works and what doesn't. You don't want the snake oil out there. You want the products that are actually going to work for you, and the advice of these doctors, these holistic doctors that actually see people surviving cancer and totally rejecting the medical cabal. So this is about health, and yes, you can change things. I've seen it from my own eyes. Very important. Also, copper is very, very important. Please go and get Recuperate Copper at formulaiq.com. I can't tell you enough about the health benefits I see in my own family and in my own self from taking copper. We are all deficient in copper. I've done shows on this. It is a truly amazing thing to get your copper up. This is vital. Now, formulaiq.com, you use the code word Kate always on every product, but formulaiq.com has the ingredients that I love, because they actually go into your body and do what they're supposed to do. And there's two things that they sell. They sell Copper IQ and they sell Recuperate. Now, you're going to want Recuperate. Recuperate Copper is the one, okay? And this is the one that is a game changer for so many people out there having symptoms and not knowing what's going on in their body. Well, copper was taken out of our food supply starting in the 1930s. So you are going to want copper. Glyphosate wrecks the copper in your body. It steals the copper. And we are all subject to those fertilizers now. We're all subject to glyphosate, eating glyphosate products. So tampered with products. So I'm telling you that copper is the master orchestra. It's like the leader of all the minerals and tells iron what to do in your cell. Okay. So if you have like low iron, take copper. Copper actually makes the iron in your body and makes it fast. And you can actually get results really fast when you start taking copper. But you got to take the right form of copper, and you got to take it with ingredients that are actually going to go into the body and absorb. So I can't stress this enough. Recuperate Copper, and it comes from Formula IQ. And I love their products. They also have a new histamine product that's all natural. This is where you want to go for your supplements. This is where I take supplements for the last 5 years. Formulaiq.com. Best products hands down. But that Recuperate Copper is a game changer. So please go get some because you can't understand how harmed we are by the loss of copper. And doctors are not trained in copper ever. So, all right. So on deck is Susan, and so glad to have you, Susan. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing super today. How about you, Kate?
Excellent. All right, what's on the docket?
We're going to talk about a little ICE hoax. We're going to talk about Mike Lee, as his name is being bandied about for a Supreme Court justice. We're going to talk about missing fluoride in the water. And we're going to talk, first of all, about the GOP, the campaigns are deciding to go all in on AI in some very interesting ways. So if you want to start with that or whichever one.
Oh, well, just go down the list. I'm good. Let's do it.
So Republicans are really betting that AI is going to carry them over on the midterms. And it's not just about goofy cartoon commercials either. AI agents will be interacting with voters by phone to persuade them to vote for GOP candidates. So you're going to get creepy, cringy AI voices on the other end. And I've heard one person say the way to interact with AI and tell if it's AI, if it's like really good and you can't quite tell, is to ask it for a cupcake recipe. And it'll just start spewing out ingredients for, a recipe. And that's how you can tell. But I don't know if the government AI will be pre-programmed with that. Democrats are going to be doing a little bit less. They're a little less, a little more hesitant.
Right.
So far, 64% of Republican consultants are using AI in their daily work, 49% of Democrats. But now this is where it gets interesting. A company called AARU, AARU, is going to predict human behavior. So the platform can replicate pools of voters with AI agents. These bots can then be pooled on their views. So if you want to replicate like a certain section of a county, like even a section of a county, and then say, I want, 10,000 voters from this section, and replicate them. And they'll give the candidate an idea of how they think things are being managed, right? And they have found it to be rather accurate, which is very interesting. And they're saying that pollsters are worried because pollsters are far more expensive when they would go out and do this. Although, there's few accurate pollsters, right? Pollsters have political biases as well. And so it says Republicans who've used AARU say it does a good job of designing what a universe of voters in a particular area looks like. Can also test the effectiveness of a campaign ad by predicting how voters may respond to them. So you know how I don't know if you've ever been part of a group where you've been asked to evaluate like a campaign commercial. I have.
Yeah, but I reject it. But yes, go ahead.
And you're like, do you like this one or this one? Or what are your impressions of this? Or what are your impressions of that? I mean, they're really trying to gauge so they don't make a huge faux pas.
Right.
Because sometimes campaigns have come out and it's been a disaster. Right? They've really underestimated how something would land. So I think that's very interesting. Now, whether or not those will be accurate, I don't know. Microfiche is a platform that forecasts public opinion using simulated people.
Microfiche,
operatives can load in polling data, news stories, and then ask it to predict how voters' actions might be affected by events such as the ending of the Iran war, because we are now in a war with Iran, right? So how will that be effective? Eyes Over is a program that scans millions of social media sites per day to identify real-time trends in public sentiment and things that are rising in popularity. And a GOP strategist said it's crazy accurate at predicting trends. Crazy accurate. That doesn't surprise me because,
what's it called?
It knows how to eliminate bots.
What's it called?
Because so much of the traffic that you see is bots, right? They're fake.
Right. What's it called, Susan?
I can see how they're
Susan. What's it called again? Eyes.
It's called Eyes Over. EYES. Same word. OVER.
Eyes Over. Okay.
And that's going to be scanning. So then my mind went to, well, how do we mess around with that? Like, how do we mess that up? Like showing that we're interested in, vegetarian pizzas or how? I mean, just mess with it, right?
Yeah, seriously.
So they said the White House digital shop sets the tone for the GOP aggressive approach, firing off AI-generated social media posts, boosting Trump and blasting his critics. So a lot of what you see is just AI-generated,
Mm-hmm.
and they think it's great. They are loving this. They
I'm
are
sure.
enjoying this.
I'm
And
sure.
they said the AI generated ads are cheaper and easier to make than traditional commercials. That's true. And
Mhm.
traditional commercials have always been super lame by politicians, right?
Yeah,
Because these are not cool people. These are people, I mean, politicians try to act cool, but when they actually have to be in a commercial, you can see how uncool they are, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. Yes.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
they're awful. Yeah.
So it says, but there's risks. And
Mhm.
they say if campaigns start using deep fakes, so they used a deep fake. Mike Collins, a GOP candidate for US Senate in Georgia, released in November an AI ad depicting the Democrat, John Ossoff, talking and
Mhm.
saying, but you couldn't quite tell.
Mhm.
And so that's when you're going to get, they're saying all's fair in love and war. We should be able to do this.
Yeah.
It's free speech, but it makes it look like the person has been saying that. And they're saying, okay, that goes too far, which people say, and this is what they said, that most people can identify deep fakes, but do you think
Mhm.
that's true?
No, I think people get bamboozled a lot. I have been once or twice. So I know that it can happen. I mean, it can happen to everybody. You're just looking at it too quickly and not weighing it out common sense wise too. And so there's a lot out there. I mean, you've got the deep fakes, you've got a lot of stories. There's we were supposed to talk about this in the last hour, but the farmers that are saying they're getting a lot of ticks lately because Pfizer is going to drop their Lyme's disease vaccine, and so they're starting to see ticks a lot, and so when I saw that story, I go to try to verify it. And of course, the first thing that comes up is Snopes. Well, we don't really have a Snopes for the AI, but we have a Snopes for like information or articles. But Snopes is horrid. It's run by total libs and it's run by the bought and sold media machines. So you can't trust Snopes. So you really have to really go and do your homework and find those stories. I have no doubt that farmers are probably seeing more ticks because then they'll have to have a reason for their new Lyme disease vaccine because the ticks cause the Lyme disease. But I don't think we have really any way, unless people are pointing out in the comments. A good thing maybe to look at on AI on videos is look at the comments section. A lot of people spend a lot of time perusing the videos and can point out inconsistencies in them. I trust that more than I do Snopes. So, yeah. Anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but
no,
Snopes
it's
isn't for AI as much.
extra brain
Mhm.
power to
Yeah.
figure this out
Mhm.
because the goal is to make it look realistic. That's their goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they have reasons for wanting to do that. Otherwise, they would be making sure they'd have some kind of label. Like
Yeah.
this is just like with artificial ingredients, they're labeled artificial.
Mm-hmm.
They have reasons for making them taste like they're not artificial, right?
Mhm.
So same with AI. And this, by the way, has a term. This is called AI slop. Have you heard these?
No. AI
things that
slop?
AI puts out a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
When the federal government comes out with a lot of gobbledygook and people are like, that's not right. That can't be
Mhm.
right. This is,
Mhm.
they call that Fed slop. And so
Mhm.
there's a lot that the government puts out that it's sloppy and we're just supposed to be consuming it. And no, we're not automatically
Well, they
consuming
do
it
treat
if we're
us like
informed voters.
they
So
do
that's just
treat us
something
like barn
to
animals
keep
though.
in
So
mind.
slop sounds normal because they treat us like caged animals. I mean, they really do. They treat us like we're supposed to enjoy the freedom inside the pen. So that, I guess, it fits.
Yeah. Oh, right. And so
Whatever they
now we're
feed us
kind
is
of up
slop.
against it.
Yeah.
And if we're not, misled
Mhm.
by the AI, we can be sure that other people we know are for sure misled by stuff.
Mhm.
And so I think it is helpful if we notice something is either
Mhm.
not being widely reported,
Mhm.
or some major podcaster who has a ton of research people working for them also does not mention it for some
Mhm.
reason, you start to suspect, well, maybe this isn't real.
Okay.
We'll
Okay.
wait to see. So, but yeah, the tick thing got me.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I'm still going through information and seeing how many people that's coming from, or I guess it wouldn't shock me, because if you're going to sell a big vaccine and it's coming out and you're marketing it, you want to have people to market it to, and you want a bigger crowd. So I guess it wouldn't shock me if they were finding boxes of ticks on their fields. I guess it wouldn't shock me, but then you have to go to the common sense factor and look at, okay, where would be the best place to put those ticks? And if they did do that, and Pfizer is that horrible, and they are, then you just have to kind of look at all the angles too. So I'm still going through that story. We were going to mention it, but not come to any definitive, because I can't yet. So
you can't,
but
and
yeah.
Pfizer has a huge population on the East Coast. We lived in New
Mhm.
Jersey. Ticks and Lyme's disease was a huge problem, and that was 20 years ago.
That was from Plum
And
Island.
so there just
Mhm.
hasn't been, I think there's people clamoring for some
Well,
kind of vaccine already.
If you look at it this
yeah.
way, it came from Plum Island. It was a government
Lyme's
operation,
disease.
right? So I guess it wouldn't shock me at all to see them up the game now, and get more people with this whatever these ticks that were designed to give people. So I guess if it started out a government operation, it's never stopped being one. So therefore, I could see them upping the game. Anyway.
Possibly, yeah.
Plum Island.
Possibly.
Go look it
My
up.
mind is not closed to that.
Mhm.
It used to be, and now I think, yes, of course, it's a
Yeah.
possibility.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can look at how other things in the news were not true,
Mhm.
absolutely not true.
Mhm.
So there was a big scandal that went viral. A woman from Skokie, Illinois, said she came home from an international trip with 5 of her work companions
Mhm.
and was arrested at the O'Hare Airport, taken into custody, and then sent to an ICE facility in suburban Broadview near Chicago, and then later put in a Wisconsin jail that frequently houses Chicago area detainees before she was released. So this went viral. She made a big deal about it.
Mhm.
And the sheriff is like, and ICE are like, we didn't touch her.
Mhm.
They started comparing notes. Well, it didn't hold up for long. She'd been traveling on a work trip. They said, her supporters said she was on a work trip for a German software company and she was detained.
Mhm.
And then it turns out that this spokesperson for this multinational German software company said,
Mhm.
actually, she's never been an employee. What is this?
Right.
Then the sheriff's office in Cook County and Dodge County, Wisconsin, said there was no indication
Mhm.
of her being taken into custody. And then they got ticked.
Mhm.
They're like, you are falsely accusing us. We're going to get to the bottom of this. So they went to both facilities and did a head-to-toe search and made sure that she hadn't been there, that she still wasn't there. They didn't find anybody. And then they saw her with footage of her at the airport, leaving the airport the day she said she was detained. She walked out of the airport at 11:43 a.m. And so there was no booking, no detainee, no ICE transfer. So where was she? So they did a little more digging. They saw her check into a nearby Hampton Inn for the entire duration of this alleged event. So she was gone for 2 days, and it showed her with this reunion. Oh, I'm finally out of ICE. They made a big deal about it. Well, where was she for 2 days? She checked into the Hampton Inn about 10 minutes from the airport, while text messages with an unidentified witness showed she was enjoying free food, spa services, and trip to the gym. So she was
a
texting, can I
liar.
use your card to pay for my spa? Can I, may I use your card to order some food? Almost like
she knew what she was doing. Yeah.
Oh, who put her up to this? Like what group said, we'll pay, just go.
Okay.
and then she was driven. Another witness said he drove her to a nearby gas station.
Mm-hmm.
So then but this big thing she made out of being reunited with
Mm-hmm.
her family, etc. It was all fake. It was a hoax. So
That
now
would not surprise me.
there is a federal defamation charge against her. A federal defamation charge. The Dodge County Sheriff is going after her. He's now seeking at least $1 million per defendant because she had supporters,
Mm-hmm.
including multiple John Doe, saying the hoax caused reputational damage. His lawyer says
Mhm.
this case is about accountability. Like it
Mhm.
made him look bad, right?
Well, hopefully that'll get the
Because-
group that put her up to it.
Well, yeah. Well, if
Mhm.
she had this detention horror story about how she was treated, the people, a federal defamation, really, you're going to fight a federal defamation for $1 million. This is not what she anticipated
Wow.
happening to her,
Mhm.
right? She
Mhm.
thought she would do this little hoax. It would go viral. She would be, seen as a
Yeah.
victim. It was
Mhm.
a hoax. So
Interesting. Yeah.
we've had these racial hoaxes in the past, right?
Mhm.
Where
Yeah.
somebody claimed something that had a racial tone or basis to it, turns out to be a hoax. We saw a lot of those because there was big money to be paid out for those hoaxes, right?
Mhm.
So now this is an ICE hoax. So now everything we see in the media where ICE looks like the bad guys,
Mhm.
and maybe sometimes they are,
Mhm.
we're going to have to assume this could be a hoax.
Yeah.
That someone was
Yeah.
put up to this
Okay.
and for whatever
Mhm.
reason said they were going to be paid to do it or whatever,
I like it.
and agreed to do it.
Mhm. Yep, for sure. I agree. Yep.
So anyway, it's good to notice that's how
Mhm.
things are going now. If they want to see a trend, this is a trend and we're catching on.
Good.
So very interesting notice that
Mhm.
I saw in the Epic Times that the Iran war leads to fluoride shortages for some
I
U.S.
just
water
mentioned that.
utility.
I just mentioned that in the last hour. Yeah.
Did you?
We were laughing about it because we're like, you okay. Thank you.
And so it showed. Did you talk about the fact that it has some Israeli components to it, and that's
Yes, our fluoride is made from Israel, and that's coming out wide in the open, so people can understand that. It's crazy.
why? Yes.
Yes, I'm with
And-
you.
But did you know that Israel stopped adding fluoride to its public water in 2014?
I did not know that.
Okay, so I looked back into that, so I can add on to that story.
Interesting.
In 2081, fluoridation was first introduced in Israel's largest cities. 2002, it was mandatory
Mhm,
for localities over 5,000
mhm.
people. 2014, it was ended countrywide, citing concerns over individual rights to decide on medical procedures and its efficacy. And so they've tried to restore it again, but it hasn't passed.
Mhm.
It said some regions in Israel, especially in southern Israel, contained naturally occurring fluoride at optimal levels. So they didn't want to keep adding it.
Right.
They did find an increase in cavities in certain populations. And now this is where the rubber meets the road, that
Mhm.
it's the people whose children do not have good hygiene practices, often poor children,
Mhm.
who have the increase. So this, what this reminded me of was the Hep B shots that all infants were required to receive after birth, or they were
The
given after
sexually
birth.
transmitted vaccine.
Yeah, well, and the Hep B
Transmission
shot
one? Mhm.
on birth, and it turns out that was to prevent
Mhm.
illnesses that were more prominent among HIV and drug users.
Yeah, prostitutes. Mhm.
And prostitutes.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
they said, well, let's just give everybody the shot. Well, they were essentially, that's what especially the American
It's just
dental
evil.
um, advice their argument is.
Mhm.
And it has to do with the fact that the only way they're going to curb cavities in these children with lower incomes, bad eating habits, remember, they're the ones eating processed
Mhm.
foods a lot of the time, they end up with a lot more cavities.
Well, it doesn't even do that. What's so funny is I had that holistic dentist on, and she's like, minerals do that. So she's like, the fluoride lie. She's like, she goes, people are still going to believe it's for our health to make our teeth stronger. And she's like, it's such crap. It's such BS. And she's like, minerals do that. When you're pregnant, the baby takes your minerals from your teeth because your teeth store so many minerals. And so when your body is depleting your teeth of its own minerals, you're in trouble. And so she was like, we got to remineralize the teeth. And I sell that on my website, katedalleyradio.com, because it's the best remineralization powder ever. But it's so amazing to me, the fluoride lies. You know what I mean? Like we're all going to get cavities. What's funny is there's plenty of people with cavities, even with this fluorinated water. So sometimes because you're prone to them, right? And so fluoride is a naturally occurring mineral derived from the element fluorine. It's found in soil, water, rocks, right? But to us,
it's naturally in some
deadly
people's water. But the remineralization toothpaste, which I think you sell too, right?
On my website, katedalleyradio.com. It's what makes my teeth white. There's a whitener, a mineral whitener. I mean, you're mineralizing your teeth while you're whitening them. I love these things. Anyway.
Yes. I love it acts in a different way and does the same, if not better. And so here was some of the reasons that I don't know if you went into the reasons, because I think, so we were talking about the hydroxyapatite toothpaste, apatite toothpaste. It is as effective as fluoride in reducing lesion depth. And they found that, especially in children, that fluoride affected IQ, right? So I think, so here's Baltimore saying we're having to reduce our fluoride, but they said it shouldn't matter for a few months. It shouldn't have an effect.
It's ridiculous. So we need a break. We need a break from all fluoride. Oh my gosh, we're getting so stupid.
And then they're saying, but we'll get back to it. We'll make sure that we put it back. But I say, what if this is a leverage point where now people can go, hey, you know what? Now that you're reducing it, let's have this discussion and let's move forward, because
and why in the hell is it coming out of Israel?
Exactly.
Hello. Yeah.
Right. But people have forgotten, but I found a website, Fluoride Action Network, that they're an activist group against putting fluoride in water. And so people can download their fact sheet. They can become activists in their own community. And I didn't realize, as I was reading over their fact sheet, that one of the most significant and damaging things that can happen is that the highest risk of overexposure to fluoride is in infants and young children, especially nursing infants. If the mother's drinking fluoridated water, they're getting an extra concentration of this fluoride. And they know, it says the breast milk can contain up to 300 times the fluoride of natural mother's milk. So it's, you can't, if you don't understand, and I have gone to my own children's homes. I hope they're not listening. I've gone to my own children's homes, and they're drinking tap water that I know has fluoride in it, and it at least has chlorine. And I'm like, you're not giving this to the baby, are you?
Right.
Like to your toddler? Are you sure it's safe? It's clean? How could I have raised these children, for one thing, like not knowing this? But it's serious. And I tell them, you have to take this seriously and have them drink filtered water. Even get a pitcher that has a filter in it, if you can't get a full water filter system. But it's important. Nobody is monitoring this light exposure. Once you put it in the water, you don't know what concentration anybody gets of it.
No, and we do get it out of Florida, we get it out of New Mexico and Colorado. And so this whole thing about the Strait, see, they're trying to make everything seem like the shortages, the bad economy, everything's going to come out of the Strait. And we do get it from Israel, but we do get it from a number of locations, even in Quebec and Kenya. So I think there's a huge agenda, obviously, to make it seem as though this, like the Iranians are are making everything worse as far as the economy goes, our economy over here, and shortages of things. And so they're going to probably grasp at many things that they're going to blame on the straight
So,
up
well, I
Hermans.
would say this, if it's a government and they
Yeah.
have a cheap supply chain, and then you have to switch from that supply chain and you're a government, that can
Mhm.
take a while. Like you can't
Mhm.
just switch. The government doesn't work that fast. And
Mhm.
so I can see how these supply chains are
Mhm.
messing up processes
Mhm.
where it takes months to switch who you buy something from.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
I just thought it was
Yeah.
very, very interesting that they themselves in Israel have banned fluoride in the drinking water.
Yeah, that is
So
interesting,
it's
huh?
like a
That,
best practice. So
you know,
let's adopt.
well, it reminds me of the Europeans who, don't have the same issues with wheat and all of our glyphosate killers and
Yes.
everything else. And so you can go eat bread over there, but over here it's a gluten problem. It's like we're the guinea pigs for the worst diet ever globally. And we don't have a whole lot of people saying, no, we shouldn't be doing that over here. So yeah, it's bad. Mhm.
Yeah, that is really obvious. I had my son was over there, and they have a
Mhm.
bread festival. I said, a bread
yeah?
festival? He goes, yeah, the most amazing. He goes, you can eat it all day long and never feel full. I
Yeah.
said, really? He goes, yeah, it's incredible.
Made with real ingredients. Yeah.
With
for
real,
sure.
yes.
But we got our ho-hos and our
non-glyphosate
donuts. we're doing good, America.
Oh my gosh. But so
we're
many
doing so
more
bad.
people are just not
Mhm.
eating bread.
Yeah.
I've noticed so many people
I have too.
are skipping the bread.
Mhm.
And
I
I
have
think,
too.
there's a backlash
Mhm.
forming,
Sure.
and people are like, we just don't want to go down that. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, speaking of food, they're saying that Nebraska this is record fires sweeping across, and this is serious.
Mhm.
They need the grasses to feed the cattle,
Mhm.
and it's just very low rain.
Mm-hmm.
I love when they say it's the
Mhm.
second driest on record, because I'm going to click the link when they have that link and go back to, well, when was the driest on record? It was 1991 in Nebraska. They had an even drier winter. So, okay. And the second warmest.
Mhm.
There's large wildfires in Texas. So we know that we always have fires. There's
Mhm.
always fires. That's always happening.
Yeah.
But it says there are areas where you see nothing but tree skeletons. 130,000 acre blaze called the Cottonwood Fire, and likened it to a war zone. He said it took all the grass. There's nothing left. And so what I understand it to mean is we need the grass resources now, because we know that stuff all comes back. It all grows back. Everything, even in Chernobyl, you saw it become this lush area. So he said this dryness plus the fire, the intensity of the fire. We know those fire intensities are high because they suppress burning, right? They suppress fires for so long that when those fires do burn, they are so hot that they take more than they would have taken. They don't just burn quickly through, they bake and burn everything, right? So that's what they're worried about. And that is going to affect the price of beef, price of, cattle. So do you have, what sources do you suggest for people for meat and lower priced meat, healthier meat? Do you have any sources
always
for that?
just go to your local farmers. You're not going to get the junk. You're not going to get fake synthetic meat. Don't buy any meat where it says cellular on it, like it's been made, because it's made to look like real meat, but it's not. And so it's just your local. I shop locally when I'm eating meat, when I'm eating beef. So, and I did a show not too long ago on Costco and all the supermarket chains and what they sell. And it's like what kind of meat, what kind of chicken. You can look that show up on YouTube, but what grades they are and stuff like that. But I buy local.
Yeah, especially if you can find a local butcher. A lot of times there's a local butcher and that's their passion.
Yeah.
Is really fantastic meat. And you can have can have grass-fed beef, but you have to make sure that it isn't just grass-fed at the end. Sometimes they just finish with grass, and instead you have to have them raised on grass
Yeah.
raised, free range. It's going to be more expensive, but it's going to be so more expensive in the short run, but healthier in the long run, right?
Yeah.
Your body knows what to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Cattle, corn-fed cattle, your body. Who was it? One of the doctors was saying, the celebrity doctors was saying, your body is like 25% or 30% corn fed from all the things that have a basis in corn that we eat.
Right.
And cattle is one of those things. So anyway, we're going to hear these things, and that's the higher prices are going to be blamed on fires instead of inflation for all the prices, all the energy prices being jacked up.
Yep.
So because that's what's getting jacked up are the energy prices, and then those compound, you know, more transportation costs, more, you know, everything.
Yeah.
So
All an
I heard a
excuse.
really interesting thing. Speaking of energy and transportation, I was listening to an investor who's this billionaire, and he gives money for people to invest in small startup companies. He said, you know, it used to be the people were investing in these artistic NFT, artificial art, all these weird esoteric things online, and they were getting a ton of money from investors. Everything just seemed like woo-woo, you know, it's like not based in reality. And he said, now, he said, I am seeing a lot of upstarts and young investors who are going into businesses like energy, transportation, food supplies, like hard assets that real life requires every day. And he said, it's actually very encouraging that we've come away from like the artificial life.
Yeah.
You know, do you remember NFTs? They were like fake art online, and people were bidding up how much they would be worth. And it was just this weird thing, like paying $1 million for a digital something. So he said that's over. And I'm thinking, I feel relief for that. It's like anything that's reality based, I feel better about. And I feel better when other people are like reality based. So I think that was a good thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about Mike Lee, Senator Mike Lee. He is the senator from Utah.
Our state.
Utah State. He is the senior senator. And he is, I don't know, is he in his 60s? I can't remember how old he is. But he is coming up as a potential Supreme Court candidate contender, and he's being floated for this by Senator Grassley. I think Senator Grassley is like 92 or something. But he leads the committee responsible for shuffling judicial nominees for the Senate. And it's Ted Cruz and it's Mike Lee. I know Mike Lee had a much better relationship with President Trump. And all this is coming about because Samuel Alito is supposedly retiring at the end of this term. He was put in 2004. So he's been there more than, 2006. So it's been 20 years. I had no idea. I remember when he was confirmed, Samuel Alito. He's 76 years old. And Trump came out, and I heard him give this. Somebody asked him about this, and he said, I want to remind Justice Alito that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died in office, died as a Supreme, like, don't wait. I think his message was don't hesitate, don't play this, retire and let me, President Trump, appoint the next Supreme Court justice. Don't mess around with this.
To go a step farther, I even feel like at the time we were really suspicious that it was a Weekend at Bernie's event with Ruth Bader Ginsburg because I think she actually died like sooner than they reported it. Really and truly, like way sooner than they reported it, like months. But yeah.
Oh my
Weekend
gosh,
at Bernie's. That's all I'm going to say
so
there.
Funny. That's really true. I do remember that. That was really
Yeah.
funny. It said, so if he does step down his term ends in midsummer,
Mhm.
then Senate Majority Leader John Thune said Republicans would work swiftly to confirm a new justice before the midterm election. So they're really all about this. They're really like heavy about the midterms. And so he's long been floated as a potential candidate, and his father was Solicitor General
Mhm.
of the United States, Mike Lee's father, and he died fairly young. He had cancer,
Mhm.
his father did, and died fairly young. We thought that Lee was going to get in sooner during President Trump's first term in 2018, but the president went with Brett Kavanaugh. And do we remember the Kavanaugh hearings? Oh my gosh.
Geez, the bought and paid for chick that said he did something 30 years earlier and got a GoFundMe account for millions. Yeah, we remember.
Oh my gosh. And she was that wacko from Stanford.
Yeah.
Just
My
CIA ties.
my thing with Mike Lee is I have a very interesting rapport with Mike Lee going back to the time when he was I was put into radio by a station manager, like just off the street literally, and it was right after Mike Lee got put into the Senate. And the problem with Mike Lee is that about a decade ago I started seeing really just inconsistencies. Like they kept calling him the constitutional blobbity gook, but it wasn't real. And there were some things that he did, and he would always partner with Feinstein. And he was just, it was interesting. I felt like he was all talk, but when it really came down to it, you really couldn't find a whole lot that he actually did. His voting record was okay, but he didn't do a lot to instigate the return of liberty. In fact, he would make bills that were unnecessary, that had other things in them that were not great. And I started calling this out, and he would not come on my show anymore. And he's besties with a lot of the club members. I call it the club, when they all do what they're told. And you'll notice that he, even during COVID, did not come out as a person that was going to tell the truth about it or really take the government, he wasn't going to say a word. And I feel like he's very much the club, but he still gets called a constitutional attorney, and it drives me crazy. And his refusal to come on my show, because we got into it when Trump was first elected, and it really wasn't about Trump as much as he was telling people a week before the first election to vote for Hillary because he didn't like Trump anymore because of what Trump said behind Billy Bush's bus. Remember that about women?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
and so
yes,
we actually had a conversation on Facebook, and he was like, Kate, as a woman, you should feel blah, 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 and I was like, what is your deal? You're going to tell people to vote for Hillary? I mean, give me a break. And all the people in Utah were, all the club members in Utah, the congressmen and the senators. And so I just, I don't trust him.
That was like a psyop.
I don't
people to vote for
I don't
Hillary
trust him.
when he knew conservatives would rather die than vote for her. That was just never going to happen.
It was
almost
very
makes
weird.
It seemed like he needed to artificially distance himself from Trump.
Well, it was very strange. And then he would kiss Trump's butt if he thought it got him into office during re-election. And then he would keep his distance if he didn't think it would. And I don't trust him at all. I don't trust him as far as you can throw him. Him and Glenn Beck are best friends. And I look at the two of them sometimes, and some of the stuff they spit out of their mouths, which is like, believe the narrative at all cost. Do not question 9/11. Do not question the moon landing. Do not question a thing. Everything's perfect, and it drives me. Well, they pick and choose what's perfect, and it's always going with the narrative. And I don't have any trust in him. And I know a lot of our conservatives do. And I'm just telling you, my experience with him is it wouldn't be good if he got on the bench. I'm telling you, he's not a great senator. He doesn't do a lot. And if you really look at action, really look at Mike Lee's actions, and I mean really take it to task, like actually look at what he's done. He sits around and talks a lot and sounds good, but it's just all talk. I mean, I want somebody to kick a little behind when you're in a position like that of power. Get in there and do something that's right. And I don't ever really see him taking any kind of risks. And that's why everyone loves Mike Lee that works in government, is because he doesn't do anything to rattle the cage. Personally. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. You know, COVID was a huge tell because we thought we had sent people to Washington to
Yep.
defend our rights. That's what
Mhm.
they're supposed to do.
Yeah,
And they just turned their backs.
I know.
They,
I don't like
you know,
it. I don't like yeah, what they do. And
Utah did open much quicker, well, than California. California was a disaster for a
Well,
long time. New
our
York was a
governor,
disaster.
dreamed up the what is that show, Sesame Street ABC songs for us to sing, and told us to wash our hands every 5 minutes and wear the damn mask. And he's such a creep. Our governor's so creepy. I think he's got lots of secrets, but anyway, he's just weird. And he is always for the narrative. He'll kiss Biden's behind, Kamala's behind. By the way, Kamala's gonna run for president so she can lose again. But I just was like, what in the world is going on here? And yeah, it's Mike went along with a lot of that and did not. He never comes in and says, like, he never takes a stand and does the truth, right? And same thing with our governor. It's always a lot of talk. I'm not seeing them actually have action where they actually return liberty or do the right things. And our governor is in on an illegitimate election. He didn't actually do what was necessary to get on the ballot. And everyone's pretending in the party here that it's fine.
I know. That whole thing.
It makes me want to throw up.
And
it makes me want to throw up. Yeah.
It's really quite shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mike Lee was considered the speculation that he was going to be a contender for Attorney General after Kristi Noem flamed out. I knew that if I had heard that, I would have known
Christie's
that wasn't,
Department of Homeland.
realistic, just because I think he's always been
Bondi,
the lead contender for the Supreme Court. And plus, he doesn't have anything in his background. You're not going to have skeletons like you would have with normal,
right?
You know,
you mean
run-of-the-mill
you
people.
meant Bondi, didn't you? You said Kristi Noem. Bondi is Attorney General that was released, right? Are you talking?
She was.
You meant Bondi.
Well, Kristi Noem, yes, Pam Bondi.
Kristi Noem is Homeland Security.
But Kristi Noem, was DHS.
Yeah.
So this article wasn't correct. So but yes, Pam Bondi. I see what they're saying. I think people knew that when Kristi Noem was taken out of DHS, that and Pam Bondi was next on the chopping block. I heard a lot of scuttlebutt about that.
And she already is.
So maybe it was that he was being considered for Attorney General as soon as Kristi Noem went down. Kristi Noem, by the way, I'm wondering what kind of deep state operation that was, because the Daily Mail has an exclusive that says Kristi and Byron Noem's $2.6 million debts revealed, itemized list of his X-rated spending.
Yeah, they kind of shoved the story on him, but actually it was a government project on top of a government project. So getting Kristi in was a government project, because anyone that's put in charge of a department, in my view, is usually from central casting. It's got to be somebody that is going to do whatever they're told to do. And so then they're trying to say, well, then it's the husband. And I don't believe that. I just, they take people in and out of position a lot, and it's to satisfy the base. Right. So, I don't know. I just think that's bizarre. Oh, and by the way, I was going to mention Mike Lee also turned his back and wouldn't recognize publicly that our governor was put in illegitimately, and backed him for office. So when it came down to it, he didn't back the freedom fighter guy. He backed the bought and sold governor. That's why I say that he's part of the club, because he will always vote for the club, like the Romneys and everybody else. Yes, it's all the club.
So in Utah, you put people in based on this system of, I can't remember what it's called, but it's not just a primary. They have something else.
Yeah.
And then he didn't win. He wasn't able to move forward. So then
caucus.
you're supposed to be able to get signatures.
Yeah.
You go around and collect signatures.
Yes, he didn't have enough.
All this scandal about the accuracy of these signatures.
He didn't have enough, and Mike Lee knew it, but he still backed him. And so all I'm saying is that whenever it comes to the club, Mike Lee is always behind the club. So supports the club and publicly says how wonderful the club is. So, and when I say the club, I mean bought and sold people in their positions. So yeah. All right. So
Well, that's
it's
yes.
crazy.
Anyway, I thought that was really interesting. He is trying to work. One last thing, Mike Lee is trying to work on voting rights because Trump is trying to nationalize elections, and Mike Lee thinks that's not accurate. You need to have the constitutional authority Congress does to set the times, places, and manner of federal elections, which is on election day. But states counting ballots received after election day clearly violates the certainty. So he is saying nothing should be counted after election day, and trust Congress that clearly violates that certainty. Finally, and trust Congress intended to establish by having nationalized elections take place on one set date. So you can't have these like week-long whatever going on. So I think there is something to nailing that down.
Do you ever notice how not one single senator, not one, I don't care how altruistic we think some of them are, not one will mention the software. No one talks about the software and the year 2004 and the election systems being put under national emergency systems and in 2004 so that the Office of the Internet could then run our elections. So they run the elections on the back end, and when things get tabulated, when the numbers get tabulated, the numbers can change. Poof, like magic. Not when they go in, but when they come out. So, but not one senator and not one congressman will ever talk about it publicly, not one statement. Isn't that amazing?
It is.
I'm not shocked.
Because it's, it's not the people. I wanted to just talk real quick about the 702 reauthorization, which is the right to have the FBI spy on us. And Thomas Massie, it's going through, it's getting pushed through, and Trump wants a clean 702. He said, even though it was used against him to spy on him, Thomas Massie said, I wanted these additional requirements that you needed a warrant. You can't just do this without a warrant. And subject to limited exceptions for emergencies, consent, concurrent authorization, defense, cybersecurity. And he said he also wanted no reverse targeting. And I think this is a big deal. None of these were allowed to be attached. They're great ideas. No reverse targeting, which is if they want to spy on a citizen or, the CIA or whoever, they can't just say, well, that's going to be illegal. We won't be able to get a warrant. So who's her relative over in Italy? We'll get a warrant on them and then just listen in because she's, one of the people they contact. As soon as we find that person in Italy, then we can get a warrant. They're like, none of that. But that's not going to get attached. And it should be absolutely.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a big fight over surveillance, and Trump just wants it clean. He wants to, it's almost like now that he's the one in power. He says, even though this was used against me, I still want a clean 702 on this.
But you notice how we're not getting rid of any NSA spying.
Right.
So we'll never get rid of it. And I don't care who's president. I don't care who goes into office. And they'll never, ever get rid of any measures for NSA spying ever. It's like you have to go along. Every person that gets in, you're never going to say a word about it. And no one brings it up, really. I mean, even if they do bring it up, there may be a few of them. It goes into no man's land because they do it for the fake fight, appearance of a fight, but not really a fight. So it never gets anywhere. And I think it's designed to. I really do. It's amazing to me how it's like, why aren't people like Mike Lee writing all these bills for the removal of NSA spying and pro states' rights and all the things about the Constitution? So quit giving Mike Lee, everybody, the constitutional stamp of approval when he doesn't do anything to actually ensure that it gets done. Right.
Wouldn't this be a great cause to raise? Listen to this is what Trump put on Truth Social, the last paragraph. While parts of FISA were illegally and unfortunately used against me in the Democrats' distasteful witch hunt
Mhm.
and attack in the Russia hoax, and perhaps would be used against me in the future, I'm willing to risk that as a citizen in order to do what is right for our country.
Okay. Well,
And I think then you go in complaining about it. We think you're going
Mhm.
to fix it. And now you're saying,
Mhm.
I just want the straight, I'm asking to get a clean extension of FISA 702.
Mhm.
And I'm asking Republicans to unify. And Thomas Massey just said this shouldn't be a clean 702. We should have all these qualifications and
Hmm.
protections. So it's a violation of Fourth Amendment.
Mhm.
Fourth Amendment to be secure in their
Mhm.
persons, houses,
Yeah,
papers,
we're
in
not.
effect against unreasonable searches and
Mhm.
seizures.
Mhm.
I mean,
We're not getting it back, folks. So we have to learn how to be ingenious when it comes to getting around it and under it and over it without being surveilled. That's really what it comes down to, because we're not there. No one's going to get rid of it. I don't care what they say. It's always a fake fight, and no one does a thing about it. And so, we just have to have our workarounds. There's always workarounds, and throughout history, you'll see workarounds. So I always believe in the ingenuity of people and figuring things out. And so, we'll just have to do it that way. But thanks, Susan.
of course, my
Appreciate
pleasure, Kate.
it. Thank you. And of course, get Cardio Miracle because it's amazing, and because, well, I just love this product. I can't say enough about it. I love it. Cardio Miracle's 47% off right now. Take advantage this week. It's only this week. 47% off, and get the Wisdom Oil. There's an oil and it is fantastic. It is fantastic. Go check it out, Wisdom Oil. And then of course, what was the other thing? My Pillow has their pillows for like $19. These make great wedding gifts, and then you're helping the show stay on the air. So cardiomiracle.com/Kate. My Pillow, code word is Kate. The sheets, the pillows, everything. If you're going to buy a wedding gift or a graduation gift or whatever, that's the place to go. And then it's a twofer because you help the show. And then also, I just wanted to say the remineralization thing, amazing. The I can't say it. Remineralization toothpaste is awesome. I love it. The whitener's amazing. And I've gone through 2 jars of it. I love it. And go get it. And then, of course, it's on my website, katedalleyradio.com. And then get the cancer ebook. It is phenomenal. I just had somebody write me and say, I love your ebook. It does. It gives you all the right information on how to deal with cancer without chemo. So make sure you go get that. And it's 10% off right now. Take advantage of that. It's at katetalks.myshopify.com. katetalks.myshopify.com. You will love this ebook, and please store it on your computer because people need to know this information. And it's hard to, you know what it is? It's hard to look it up on your own. It's hard to come to these conclusions on your own. I've spent 15 years of research at this, and I'm telling you, it is an amazing, amazing ebook. And not tooting my own horn, I'm just telling you that it comes from the best holistic doctors, the best information, the things that are actually going to help you. So katetalks.myshopify.com. It's the Cancer Don't Panic ebook. Go grab it right now. And I'm telling you, you're gonna love the info, and you can help everyone around you. Doesn't everybody want to be a hero? I mean, come on, be a hero in your family, and go get the ebook. Thanks, you guys. Be faithful, be fearless. I'll be back tomorrow, and same time, same bat channel. Same bat time. Go to katedalleyradio.com. Thanks.